Alright guys, so for this section, let's focus on animating the different parts of my body and getting it to line up with my rough animation. I'm going to turn off my movie layer and going up to my rough animation. Remember, this rough animation doesn't have to be exactly the same as your animated character that you design. It's primarily there to give you an idea of what your character should be looking like and moving to for each individual keyframe. Now again, this is still open for a lot of interpretation, but we're going to take this one key moment at a time, and I'm going to start off by animating just my head. In the second part, we'll go in and animate my body and talk about all the differences and difficulties that can go in with that. So the first thing I need to do is obviously turn on my head animation. I can turn off this for now. But if I double click on my head animation or my head object, let's also make sure it's unlocked. You can see everything's just set up to be one frame, and we want everything within my head to also have the same timeline. So I'm going to go back to scene 1 and let's see how long my entire scene lasts. It's all the way up to 285 frames. Now of course yours may be slightly different on your setup, but I'm going to double click my head frame. Since I saved this up as an individual graphic, I should be able to go in and give everything its own timeline. So let's go to the 285th frame. There it is right here. We'll select all the frames on every layer. And I'm actually going to open this up so I can see all these frames much easier. First one, hold down Shift all the way down to the last one. And then I'm going to hit F5 just to give it some sort of frames. So now from here I can go in and start to line up the same key moments for each individual part, and then we can go back and start adding all of the different tweening in between each part as well. So back on scene 1, let's go through and on our main timeline, this is really just where I need to change up the position of the overall head itself. I don't need to worry about changing up the eyes, the ears, or anything else for now. We'll do that for the breakdowns on this one. So I'm looking very closely at each of my keyframes, and I can see at this keyframe, my head goes from a straight up to kind of a sideways position as I say, "Hi, my name is Ben Ivey." So I've got one position here. Give myself a keyframe, select my head, and while I've got it selected, I'm just going to go ahead and move my center point down to this point as well. So that way when I rotate it, all I've got to do is rotate it to this point here. Hi. Go to the next one. I think it should go over just a little bit more, so I'm going to insert another keyframe. In this case, it's going to tilt all the way back over this way. Whoops, make sure to hit the keyframe. Scrolling on down. From here, I'm still at the same position, but I'm going to go from here looking downwards. So I need to insert a keyframe here, pull it up to there. That looks good. Looking back up, I'll hit another keyframe. Even though the head isn't moving, it's moving downward, I'm going to set a keyframe just for that particular motion. Here it's going to move off to the side just slightly. Staying off to the side for this movement. And then back to center for here. And then finally my last keyframe has me, actually that one's off to the side of it. Let's cock it over to the side. It goes from here to here, and then finally that last keyframe will be back to its starting position. Make sure to hit the keyframe. Actually, I want this keyframe to be exactly the same as the first. So with that keyframe selected, I'm going to delete it away. Let's go all the way back to my first position. We'll copy that frame. There it is, copy frame. And let's jump in and paste it exactly the same as with here. Paste frame to that one. Now whenever it loops, I'll make sure that it goes back to its original position set for there. From here, now as it moves around, you can see the head is roughly giving me the basic shape. Now we can go into the actual head itself and then start to do the individual animations for all the different parts. The only thing I'm not going to cover for this is the mouth. We'll add that at the very last. Now for mine, this first part is where I say hi. Hi, my name is... And so as I say hi, I want there to be kind of a hi. My eyebrows need to be moving up into position at this point. So from keyframe 24 all the way to keyframe 39, this is where it goes hi. So I want to have a bit more of expressive expression on my face by this 39th keyframe. What I need to do is make mental note of keyframe 24, so this will be my starting point, all the way to 39, which will be my ending point for my expression. So I'm going to start off with frame 24, double click on my head to go into here. I'm right at frame number 24. Let's select all of those frames. Again, I'm going to pull this down so I can see everything all at once. There we go. All of frame 24, we'll hit F6 and just go ahead and give myself a keyframe. And then frame 39, jumping over to 39, select all of those keyframes, hit F6. This will be my stopping point for each one of those. From here, it's a simple matter of going in and making all the changes that are necessary. Remember, when you do this, it's a good idea to lock down all of your layers and unlock them as you're working on them. You don't want to accidentally put something on a different layer or work on a different part as you're working through it. We're going to take this one part at a time. You don't necessarily have to start off at the very top. For me, I think I'm going to start off with my eyebrows and have my eyebrows raising up very quickly. So I'm going to choose that eyebrow layer. So I got left and a right eyebrow. We'll unlock both of those. Do make sure you're working with the appropriate starting keyframe for each one. And with those unlocked, I'll raise them up with an expression a little bit higher for here. Oops, excuse me. I just made a mistake on that. I don't want to have those all the way down there for there. I want my ending position to be there. So let's choose the ending position for both of my eyebrows. With those keyframes set, now we're good to go. Now let's push them up and set it to there. And let's throw on a classic tween for both of those. Uh-oh. Make sure to create a classic tween. There we go. Hi, hi, hi. With those set, let's also do my eyes as well. Do make sure you got the correct keyframes selected, or the correct frames selected. Hi, hi. And then I'm going to have my nose go up just slightly. So with that one done, let's return back to scene 2, or excuse me, back to my scene 1 and go to this second part. Hi. My name. So this is where I'm going back, and I want my head to go kind of look off to the side. Let me turn off my person to show you what it looks like. So with this, not only is my head going off to the side, but it's looking up by just a little bit. So in this, we need to start playing around with the position of everything that's on my face and making sure that it flows naturally. So it needs to go from here and then back and up just a little bit. So it goes back and up to that position. I'll turn back on my character. Go back into this keyframe. Now this keyframe is on 63, so if I double click my head, I'll go into it. Let's set up a line of keyframes for here. Also, the other thing to note is he's going from this position back high. There is a little bit of a pause. I didn't notice that, but here's another thing. So high, high. Do I go automatically back to there? Let's look at my original video and see. So high. Nope, not too much of a pause. So we'll go from there. High. Maybe it is a little bit of a pause. Maybe we'll start it at 2 seconds. I'm going to add another keyframe right at 2 seconds. Just make the thing work out well. Let's see, turn back on my person. Double click the head. So right at 2 seconds, this will be the starting point for this position. Select all the keyframes, hit F6. And then, so there's a little bit of a pause, and then now we can pull everything back into position for this head as well. Let's go back over to our keyframe here. Looks good. I don't just want it to be off to the side, I want it to be up and over. So with these, let's go in each individual part. We'll set the eyes back down. And since the eyes match the flow of it, I'm going to go 1, 2, up and over. Maybe 2 up and 1 over. Let's do the same for the pupils, just so that those match up. So left and right pupil are unlocked. Selecting both of those, up over 2. I still want him to look like he's looking at me, even though I'm off to the side. So right about there looks good. Now the glasses will be last. Let's do the nose next. So unlock this, unlock my nose. 2 up and 1 over. Goatee. Go 2 up and 1 over. Keep that consistent. My ears are going to be kind of a unique challenge because I want to see more of this ear and less of this ear. And so my ear itself needs to change too. Let's open up the left and right ear. Where is my ear? There it is. So this guy needs to move inward and also needs to kind of expand a little bit more. So we'll expand him out right about there. That looks good. This guy, on the other hand, actually needs to go away more because as I tilt in, the downside is he's on the wrong layer and he's being covered up by my beard. So what I'm going to do is just going to trick it. Let's see what that looks like. I'm not saying it's going to be good. Put in a motion tween. Haha. Obviously I need to put motion tweens for all the different changes that I did. We'll come back to that particular ear. Let's do the glasses next. Final position for these glasses. We'll unlock that layer. Needs to move up. And into position here. Actually, we're going to pull it over. There we go. I'm looking at the nose. It needs to be lined center with that nose, which means it's going to actually pull way off over here. Now when I do that, of course, it can be a classic tween, but the lines on my nose need to be changed up too. So let's do the left and right line. For this one, we'll select it, pull it into position here, and this one needs to be pulled into position here, readjusted to be right there. And remember, those are shapes, so we're going to do a classic shape tween for each of those as well. So now when the glasses move, you can see they're moving too. Still don't like the look of the ear, but I think that'll be close to what we want. Let's do that left ear, give it a classic tween. So it's moving. And then finally, let's go in and do the rest of the stuff too. So those eyes need to be moving. The goatee. And the left and right pupil also move too. So everything's moving up. So far, so good. And I think the final thing is, of course, my hair and my beard need to adjust their shapes too. So as far as my hair goes, remember that's a, my eyebrows need to move too. Hang on, before we jump into that, let's get them eyebrows going. Select both your eyebrows, nudge those up and into position, and then let's throw on a classic tween for both of those. Be here. Uh-oh, I messed up. I didn't have the right frame selected. It is critical that you got the right frame selected for each one. Now that we got the right frame, let's put it back into where they need to be. Now let's throw on that keyframe. Hi, my name's Ben Ivey. Hi. Now let's tackle the hair. The hair selected. Remember, this is going to be a shape tween. And as long as we keep it simple, it should work out with a basic shape tween. Otherwise, we'll need to go in and do some shape hints for everything that we've got. Just moving all of these lines over slightly. And I want my beard to have something to connect to, so we're going to keep that right there. That looks pretty good. And this side is actually going to lose a lot of hair, so we're going to pull that in for that. Let's do a shape tween and see and hope for the best. Wonderful, wonderful. Moving along. That'll rock well. Let's do the same for the beard. Remember, as long as you keep it simple, it should work out. Should work out. Ending point for the beard. Beard needs to match up to the position of my hair. We're going to move all those over. That looks good there. Basically, this lower portion doesn't need to be moved too much. It just needs to kind of go back to its original parts. There's that. And then this part over here, as it rotates, you need to see less beard to match up with this one. So pull everything over, nudge it in if you have to use your keyboard. All right. And then same for the beard. Give it a shape tween. Uh-oh. Now this one, that's not going to do. So obviously we need to do some shape hints to go for this one. So the starting point for this, let's just choose that one. Remember to insert a shape hint, you can go to Modify your shape and add a shape hint. Shift Command H, we'll add it to there. Let's do it in a counterclockwise method. So there's 1, and then 2, and then do one at the bottom corner here, 3, 4. Let's do one of these top corners. Actually, let's put it over on this side. 5 and 6. There's one there. There's one there. Whole bunch of them, but we started here, moved around at each major corner. Now let's work backwards. As far as H goes, there's there, and G. So we'll go up to F and E. This bottom corner needs to be that part right there. C working backwards, then finally B and A. There's B and there's A. Now when I move it up, not too bad. It's actually the hair that looks like it's messing up. So the beard is good. You can see the hair has gotten a little off to that part. So let's go back up to our hair and fix that before we move on to that particular shape. So unlock the hair, choosing a starting point for the H. We'll add A right here, and B right here, C right here, and D right here. Let's see if this will cause it to work out. Go to the next frame, and then line it up where it needs to be. There's D and C. Finally B and A. Right there. Now when it goes, uh-oh, whoa, it's really messed up. That was even worse. So let's undo everything we just did. Now if it's something like this, where it's obviously not going to work out and it's a small thing, this is where I can go in and do a cleanup type layer for each individual part. So I'm going to go to my Modify, and I'm going to clear away all of the keyframes for these two different parts. Modify, Timeline, Shape. Well, thought I had them selected. Let's go back to our first frame. Now we can remove it. Modify, Shape. Let's remove all the hints. It's a small thing for now. What I'm going to do later is go in and clean up my head. Let's back out and see how that looks. Yeah, off to one side. Then we'll have me move back to the middle. Now, since the rest of this process is going to be very, very tedious, I'm not going to narrate through the entire thing. I'm going to go ahead and work through the entire process and then go back and show you some of the different things that I ran into along the way.